Welcome to 30, Flirty, and Panicking, your go-to podcast for embracing the unexpected and building a life you love. I'm Kelsey, and today we're sitting down with Maha Abouelenein. If I tried to get through Maha's highly impressive resume, we would never get to hear straight from the source. So in short, she's the CEO of Digital and Savvy. She's on the global board of directors for the Associated Press, and she's the author of 7 Rules of Self-Reliance. And let me tell you, as someone who's read that book, I've implemented those rules and they are already changing the game for me. A powerhouse strategist who's led communications for tech giants like Google and Netflix in the Middle East, Maha spent decades helping global leaders, CEOs, and high-profile clients build trust, tell their stories, and create lasting impact. Today's all about taking ownership of your story through a series of rules that really serve as a roadmap to the life that's waiting for you. And something I've seen in the short time I've known Maha is that she talks about creating value for people, which is one of the rules, but she also lives by that. And she's really one that wants to toss the ladder for the person behind her or help the person next to her. And it's very inspiring and something I cannot wait for you to experience too. So let's get into it. Maha, it means so much to me that you're here today. I'm so excited to talk to you. And the reality is that even if I speak on fast forward this entire time, I don't stand a chance at getting through all of the things I want to talk to you about. So I would love to just start off by letting you paint a little bit of a picture of your background and your path before we get into things.
First of all, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be on your show and so grateful for your time. And applaud you. Building a podcast is an incredible and exciting journey. So I'm excited to be one of your guests. Just for the audience to understand, my name is Maha. I'm born and raised in a very small town in Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota my entire life. I'm 100% Egyptian to Egyptian parents who came here to go to school and ended up just staying about 40 years. And when I was 27, my parents said, we're going to go back to Egypt. We've been here far longer than we intended to be here. I'm 27. I'm single. I'm working at General Mills, working in sports marketing, have one of the coolest jobs out there. And I moved back with my parents to Egypt, mostly because my mother had MS. My mother had multiple sclerosis. Since I was 14, I was her caretaker. And so it wasn't a question. I was going to go with my dad to help take care of my mom. I moved to Egypt. I don't know Arabic. I don't have any friends. I don't speak the language. I don't have a network. I'm 27. I'm young. I want to work. And I got to figure out, what am I going to do with this new life that I found myself in? And I'm still caretaking for my mother. And I really wanted to work for an American company in Cairo. I thought that would be the thing to do, like get a job where you feel comfortable in an American company. What is going to be that marketing brand job that everyone had back in the late 90s? This is 1997. Fast forward, I unwillingly took this job to be the secretary for this billionaire because I thought I was too overqualified and I shouldn't do it. And why am I in Egypt being a secretary? I just thought it was beneath me and I wasn't very humble. And my dad gave me advice that I took, thank God, saying to take this job, that it was going to change my life and I could learn a lot from working with someone of that caliber and being very close to the sun. And I did. And it did change my life. I learned how to put my head down. I learned how to be humble. Learned how to grow with the company from the beginning. I studied every piece of paper coming in and out of his office. I learned how to network and build relationships and where I can create value. And I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. I was mad that I had that job. So I was willing to outwork everybody. I was willing to be the first one in, the last one out. I really learned a lot about myself by taking a role that I didn't feel qualified to take. And it's a lesson for a lot of people who are listening. If you get asked to do something that you think is beneath you, or it's not going to be the right caliber, you don't know where the answers or the learning will come from. And I always thought after that process that you either take a job to learn or to earn. And that job I was learning. I wasn't earning good money, but I was learning so much about the job, the country, the role, the people, myself, that it was invaluable. I went on to run communications and public policy for Google out of Dubai, ended up moving from Egypt to Dubai, ran communications for Netflix, launched them in the Middle East, worked for the office of the ruler of Dubai, and work now for high profile individuals. I'm a professional storyteller. I have a strategic communications firm. I love helping people build their personal brands. So if you're a real estate agent or a dog mom or a shopkeeper or a Gary Vee or a Deepak Chopra, I want to work with you because I feel like that's what our currency in relationships is all about, connecting with other people. And so how can I help you tell your story and help you connect with others to do what you're passionate about? So I came back to Minnesota during the pandemic. After living overseas for 23 years, I moved home at 50 years old and had to start over again, like I did when I was 27 with no relationships in Egypt, and had to do it when I came back to the US because now I'm back in Minnesota. I don't have any friends. I don't have a network. I've been gone for 23 years, rebuilt myself. And, a lot of it has to do with some of the reasons why I came up with this book of what do you need to do to rely on yourself. You're probably not sure that you're capable of doing the things that you can do. And I learned that. And that's kind of the premise of not just the book, what I did, but how I did it.
By the way, mine's right here. If you look up too close, it looks extremely well loved because it is like every corner is bent. There's notes to myself. It's been it's a value to me. But you do such a beautiful job of weaving your personal story throughout a book that is so rich with takeaways and action items and really strong tips. And I think when I first got the book, I kind of had a view of self reliance that I think meant life is about going it alone and
Yeah.
you're on this island. And I think that's very common. I've heard you speak to this before. And you do a very good job right off the bat, literally in the first page, of addressing your view of what self reliance is. Can you share with us what self reliance means to you and like why it is so wildly important?
Yeah. So I think when you see the word self and self, in any term, you think it's about selfish or it's about me and that I don't need other people. But it's actually the opposite, right? It's an inspiring tool for anyone who reads this book or anyone in general who thinks of that term. Think about it as empowerment. Think of it as like, what are the things that, like, if I invest in myself, I can own my future. You hear a lot of people say you're in charge of your happiness and you dictate and you drive. A lot of things that happen in life are out of our control, right? But I'm trying to give you back the power of the things you can control. You can control your personal brand and reputation. You can control how you build your own relationships and network. I want people to know how to do that. I want people to know how to be good at networking because if you have relationships, you'll have opportunities. And if you have opportunities, you'll have freedom to do the things you want to do. So, how do I teach people how to do it in a format like this, in a Zoom call, through LinkedIn DMs? Like, how do you actually build a relationship today in a digital world? It takes skills and talents and ideas. And so, that's what I'm trying to equip people with of relying on yourself to build those relationships. So I don't have to say, hey, Kelsey, can I just have some of your relationships that you've spent years building? How powerful it would be if you could do that yourself.
You own the power in your life. And I think so many of us feel so much more comfortable in an inactive role in a way. The first of the 7 rules that you lay out for us is to stay low and to keep moving. And I loved this one. And it's kind of something that you see throughout the book and throughout the way you've moved through life.
Yeah, I mean, I think I first heard the term like many years ago. I didn't really know it was a military term. Like when you just basically stay low and stay low on your all fours, like you're laying down to keep moving so you don't get hit by arsenal. But I took it as a metaphor for life. Like there are so many distractions in our world today, right? Like it's even hard when you're reading a book to like not pick up your phone. Like how do you stay focused, right?
Yes.
And I think like stay low means you got to stay focused on what you care about because there's so many distractions, family obligations, social obligations, friend obligations, work obligations, like your personal fitness and things you want to do for yourself, right? So how do you kind of stay low, not low profile? How do you kind of put the blinders on so that you can focus on the things you actually care about? When you look at your calendar for the week or you look at your month, where did it go? Did you focus on the things you actually wanted to get done? It takes effort to do nothing. It takes effort to focus. So I want people to stay low and then keep moving because there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be economic downturns. There's going to be, bad moods or hormones, whatever it is. Like there's going to be life that happens. So life is about those peaks and valleys. And how do you try to like stay low and keep moving despite the fact that you're going to face those things? So it takes effort for me to write a book. I had to like for 2 months is pretty much how long it took me to do it. Like nights and weekends, like I'm not going to be able to go out with my friends. I'm not going to be able to watch Netflix on the week at night. I'm going to have to like carve out time to achieve a goal that's important to me. So I was really trying to practice like, okay, I got to stay low and I got to keep moving. If I want to get this done, it's going to take me putting that blinders on to focus and not go cave into all the distractions that life offers.
it's a decision that you make and requires sacrifice sometimes.
Yeah, and you have to prioritize it, right?
Right. I think before we get too far, I would love to just take a minute. I think I'm a career woman and I admire career women and career people in general. And I'm so impressed by all of the professional accomplishments that you have genuinely. I think as I was reading the book, what I realized was that what I admired even more about you was the way that you move through your personal life. And like you referenced in sharing your story, you were a caregiver to your parents for years and years. At 14, I think it was that your mom was diagnosed with MS, your dad later on being diagnosed with ALS, which is an extremely cruel illness. Can you talk a little bit about what that chapter was like for you? I think in reading your stories, I've recognized that the values that you took with you from that are woven throughout. I would love for you to just talk a little bit for the listener about what that chapter was like.
Yeah, like when my mom got sick, I was 14 years old. My dad was the dean of a business school. And when were at a university, you have a lot of obligations. You have graduations, fundraisers, university calendars have a lot of social events. And he was in leadership. So he had to go to a lot of these events. And my mom was in a wheelchair and she didn't really want to go. She's just like, I don't want to embarrass your dad. I don't want to show up in a wheelchair. And so she's like, I want you to go with your father so he doesn't go alone. And it was actually very early days of how I learned like how to network and work a room. And my dad would basically take me. I was like 15, 16, wearing tights and a dress and, grazing at the buffet. So I didn't have to talk to people.
Right.
Um, but it really kind of taught me. He's like, go talk to people. I'm like, no one wants to talk to like a 16-year-old, and he's like, you just make up conversation and just learning how to start doing that and get comfortable with that. So, like, at a very early age, he was teaching me about how to network and build relationships with people. And I became very close to my dad. And then my dad got ALS. And, Lou Gehrig's disease is, like you said, is one of the cruelest diseases. And I was really getting used to having a routine and taking care of my mom, getting up before school, getting her dressed, getting her ready, setting up her tea, giving her breakfast, going to class, coming home to give her lunch, picking after school, coming home, getting her in the car, taking her for physical therapy, like really living the routine of being the mother for my mom. I didn't really know any different, but I was trying to make her feel as good as I could possibly make her feel, giving her situation was not good.
Right.
And then my dad got sick, and I thought, what are the odds that I have two parents with neurological diseases? They both needed hospital beds that could move them. I had two nurses per shift, 3 shifts a day, 8-hour shift for each parent. I had like 16 people on the payroll, making sure that they all had this right care because I was getting up in the middle of the night. And then my sister who lived in the States was like, you can't just not sleep all night. Like, I'm making all the medical decisions. I have to go to work to pay all the bills. And I just think, like, I don't know how I did it. I know, you just kind of one foot in front of the other and you just find the strength, and they were my parents and I wasn't not gonna take care of them. They gave me everything I have. But you just find the strength, I guess, when you need to, and, like, call my cousin to come watch them and I needed a timeout, or I need to go to the gym because I need to take care of myself, and you find a way. I don't know the answer. I just found a way to work hard during the day and take care of my parents at night. I had a little system, and, I lost them about a year apart. My dad passed away first. And then, my mom, I kind of felt like she felt my dad was love of her life, and she went home,
Yeah.
had MS for 22 years, and then she passed away. And I'm very proud of what I did for my parents, as difficult as it was. Like, that's where I learned how to create value for people. That's how I learned if I can do something to make their day a little bit better. I was like, I wonder if I can do that for my clients. I wonder if I can do that for my colleagues. I wonder if I can do it for my friends. And I had a lot of satisfaction for creating value for people. And that became a big part of my DNA is when I would meet someone, I'm like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? And I found that when I learned how to create value for people, it made the thing that people wanted me to be around them for. They're like, Omaha's valuable. Like, she brings a quality to my life. And I'm always trying to bring value to the people I care for. And it's a business tool now, but it started at home with my parents.
It's like beautiful to see the way that you exist honors them and you carry them with you. There are caregivers all around us and we maybe don't even know it all the time. And I
Life,
think that that's a space that can feel extremely isolating when you're in it.
for sure.
As someone who navigated that for so long, is there one thing you would want to leave anybody who's currently in the thick of it with?
First of all, it's the most beautiful thing you can do to be able to take care of somebody that you love.
Yeah.
But you also have to prioritize yourself because at the end of the day, you are the one that has to have the strength and the happiness and the fulfillment of carrying on, not just for them, but for yourself. Right.
Yeah.
So I always made sure like I would self regulate myself. Like, okay, I need to get out of the house. I need to take a break. I need to go work out. I need to see friends. You can't live in it day to day all the time because you also have to think of yourself what's going to happen on the other side of this. And so making sure that, I don't regret a minute of it is probably my proudest accomplishments. I've done some of the coolest things in the world working for the most amazing people. But if you ask me what's the thing you're proud of the most, it's what I did for my parents. And I feel anyone would be feeling the same way in my shoes. But if you have to be a caretaker or you choose to be a caretaker, think about how you find that balance of not just going all in on the deep end and then finding yourself depleted. It's like any reservoir tank, it has to be full. It's like the put on your own mask at the airplane, that announcement they make. It's so true.
Exactly. I think that's important for everyone to hear because it can feel like it's easy to make yourself the last priority. But if you don't
Yeah.
give yourself that mask, you can't be helpful to others.
Yeah, and you think a lot about like, oh, well, my situation's not as bad as theirs. Like, I'll just sacrifice a little bit more and I'll just do a little bit more and a little bit more. And if you're drained and tired and emotionally bent, you're not helping them either.
Yeah, you are no stranger to struggle. And I think something that we see and that you explain in the book is that sometimes it's those struggles that actually help to shape you into the person that
Yeah.
you're meant to be and that you're going to be on the other side of those struggles. How can we channel pain or challenge and allow that to become a superpower for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I mean, for anyone listening, I always try to think like how I didn't realize how I turned that struggle into a strength until I was through it, right?
Yeah.
I learned a lot about, oh, you have to have a lot of patience. You have to have a lot of empathy. You have to have a lot of perspective of like, I can get out of bed and put my feet on the ground and walk away from the bed. They couldn't do that. And so I feel like if someone's suffering from something right now, that there is a struggle, but there will be a strength that comes on the other side of it. Even if you don't see it right now, it'll reveal itself. I always talk a lot about, especially like in business, everyone thinks that failure is the opposite of success. I'm like, failure is part of success. It's when you
Yeah.
those struggles that you realize, okay, I never want to do that again. I never want to feel that way again. What are the things that I can do to make sure that, okay, I took a couple hits, but it's not the end of me.
Yeah.
It's
I love
not.
it.
Life is so short. Like, if we always take a perspective of looking back, I'm like, oh, I missed this deal, or I didn't get this job, or I didn't, it ends up being a blessing in disguise because something else came along. You're just always in it at that time where it just feels really hard to get through that mud. And if anyone's listening, I would just say, just take another step, one more. I promise you, it's going to be much better the more time and distance you get away from it.
I love that. And that's also very helpful for everyone to hear, I think, no matter what you're dealing with. As you nodded to, I think that chapter of your life led you to understand the importance of creating value. And that is, of course, rule number 2 in the 7 rules of self-reliance. Can you talk about the importance of creating value and kind of how you arrived at that conclusion too?
Yeah, I think like when I started creating value for other people, it ultimately created value for me. I got the satisfaction of doing it. I got the satisfaction of finding a challenge that I conquered. I got the satisfaction of unlocking a problem or connecting A to B or solving something for someone or being the person that created something of real value for somebody. Like that to no end gave me more satisfaction than anything ever. And so that's why I want to teach people to do it because it feels so good. It feels so good to create value for someone when you introduce someone A to B. Everyone's like, well, if I introduce them and they do something without me, I get cut out. What's in it for me? I'm like, no, because you created value for now you did put, I call it putting deposits in other people's trust banks. Now you put 2 deposits. Like you have 2 deposits out there that you created that created value for people. Imagine walking through your life creating deposits for so many people and everyone knowing that you were the person that brought that value. That's a pretty good way to live your life.
Gary Vee is somebody that you've worked very
Yes.
closely with. And that's really how you approached the beginning of your relationship with him, it feels like. I think if I read it correctly or if I listened to it, I don't know. I've done a deep dive recently. It was the title of Chief Value Officer is the one
Yes.
that's bestowed
Yes.
upon you. Can you
Yes.
chat a little bit about your approach with that and just give people a sense of what that might look like in real life?
Yeah, I mean, this story about Gary is very interesting because a couple of rules go into play. One, be a long term player, like how to really think long term about something and build relationships with someone. How to be a value creator and how to not be a waiter. So I never heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, didn't hear about him, had no idea who he was. A friend recommended I read his book. I was at a bookstore. She called me when I happened to be in Barnes and Noble. I was in Minnesota. She was in Dubai and I bought his first book, and it was all about building your personal brand. And if you have expertise, you should share it. I'm like, huh, I got expertise. I should share it. Why don't I create a personal brand about me and helping people communicate better? And so I started following Gary on social, and he puts out a lot of videos. One of the things he professes in his book and is to like DM people or to comment on their post, to engage with them. You never know what would happen. Very long story short, I commented on a woman's post who was on an interview with him for her book launch and DM'd her, met her, somehow offered to bring her to Egypt. She came and spoke to a bunch of people in Cairo, and she had a videographer with her filming her whole trip to Egypt that I organized for her. And that videographer worked for Gary. And so then I was like, I want to meet him. Like, I had built Weber Shandwick in the Middle East. I should try to build VaynerMedia, his ad agency in the Middle East. Like, everything's into digital and social. I'm going to be in front of the next big thing. I'm going to get to him. I'm going to propose this, but I don't know how to meet him. And so the videographer is like, that's not my job. I don't know how he does business things. And so I get a meeting with Gary, and then it was supposed to be like a 15-minute meeting. We spent a lot of time together. And then the way he works is he likes to meet people and spend time with them through osmosis before deciding if he'll do business with them. So I basically, for like a year and a half of me, long-term player, building a relationship, showing up, flying to Cannes to meet him, meeting with his team, going to the office, learning about his business, educating it on me and on the region. And then I said, well, you should come to the Middle East and you should come to Dubai. And so he had never been. He came. We did a big trip together. If you want to see, the whole trip is online. 7-hour vlog of his first trip to Dubai. I think it was like 2018 or 17. I can't remember. And then after that trip, he's like, we should work together. And we've been working together ever since. But I was willing to put deposits in his trust bank and add value to him and educate him on the region and show him my contacts and my network and be a long-term player, which is one of the rules of the book, and not be a waiter. Think about opportunities I can create for him and really genuinely show him who I am. And if I'm willing to do all of that without doing business with him, imagine what I will do if he does decide to do business with me. And so I like to do that with potential clients as I give them a taste of what I'm like to work with. Yeah. And see if they like what they might be able to, get. And I think showing your value is important. You have to speak up. No one's going to promote you. No one's going to do your work for you. No one's going to put you at the top of your priority list. You need to advocate for yourself. You need to know how to tell your story. You need to know how to connect with other people. You need to know how to show your value in your relationships in the best way that you feel authentic doing it. It's not about self promotion, it's about your idea promotion. It's about what you're good at. Everybody has something they're good at, they just don't know how to tell it. And so I like to help people tell it because I know that everybody has something to offer.
Yeah, I love it. You just referenced being a waiter, and in the book, you get into being a waiter versus being a creator. Something that I loved from reading the book was that you got called out for being a waiter, checked
Yeah.
yourself, and talk about taking action. You did. You found your way into the DNC. You found yourself in a room with Michelle Obama, of all people, having a conversation about Egypt, which obviously you're so passionate about. That's taking action. Can you set up for us what it means to be a waiter, how to become a creator, and what kind of a difference that makes?
Somebody called me a waiter and I'm like, what? And he's like, you're waiting. You're waiting for Mr. Right. You're waiting for your boss to give you a promotion. You're waiting for things to come to you because you think you deserve them. And I think a lot of us wait for other people to validate us. Like, we wait for them to give us that permission when I think it's in our own kind of our own power and strength to do it ourselves, right? So I talk about going from a waiter to going to be a creator. What are the things you'd like to create in your life that you're waiting for someone to bring to you? You're like, well, I'm waiting for my boss to ask me to organize a trip to the Super Bowl. I'm waiting for my boss to ask me to do this. How can you create that? What steps can you take? Reverse engineer. I don't have these skills. Well, what do you need to do to get those skills? Internet is for free. Podcasts are for free. YouTube videos are for free. So what are you missing? Go get it. It's out there. And by the way, it's free. And then you might be missing experiences. So do you need to volunteer? Do you need to take a role that might not seem like it's the right level and fit and laterally, and you need to move up? Maybe you need to take a role to get that experience, to learn about that industry, to get that exposure, to build those relationships. So, a lot of times we're waiting till we lose 10 pounds or we get more money in the bank account. Or, like I said, I think a lot of it for me was I was waiting for permission from others. I was waiting for others to say, okay, now it's your turn. Go for it. Like, be in the front row. You don't need to be behind the scenes anymore. And that's actually why I wrote this book, because I was like waiting. I wasn't waiting for someone to say, oh, you're going to just, bestow upon us a book and you're going to write it. I was always waiting for the right time, because I was like, well, I have a career. I need to focus on that. I got my family. I need to focus on them. But I always love reading books. I always love stories. I always find books can change your life. And I always wanted to write one. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? You need to either create the time and space in your calendar to do it, or it's going to be a lofty goal that you're never going to achieve. And that's when I was like, okay, stop waiting and start creating. And I feel a lot of people feel the same way. And you just need one thing. You don't need to boil the ocean and have 100 goals, whether it's learn pickleball or how to cook or how to sew, whatever it is that you love. It doesn't have to be tied to your career. What are you waiting for? I've always wanted to learn how to ski. I've always wanted to learn, go on a solo trip. Whatever it is, don't wait, because nothing in life is guaranteed. Nothing.
You also talk about how it's after action that you gain confidence that comes from taking new things on. And I can't agree with that enough. Like, I found that to be so true. And this has kind of been a big year of forcing myself to try things that I think I otherwise would have been uncomfortable doing. There's like a little unhinged wave, I think, that comes when sometimes
So
things don't
true.
go according to plan. And if you just ride it and you're like, whatever, sometimes bad things happen. Why don't you shoot your shot? I will say on that note, on the waiting versus creating of it all, I think even when you have a very clear vision, right? Like, this podcast is honestly a great example of this for me when I need to call myself out, because I've known I've wanted to do this. I mean, I bet you I started a year ago recording, and it's like this little baby. And I'm like, well, if I just wait until this thing aligns perfectly, or until I have the editing skills are that much better, because it needs to be perfect, especially as someone working in TV. There's like, it's hard
Yeah.
to watch an imperfect product and launch it out. And I think in anything you do, there's obviously like the silliness of knowing other people are going to see it and wherever else. But all of that is to say that even when you know that there's something that you have to pursue, I think it's just easy to say, well, I'm just going to wait until this thing aligns or this thing aligns. And you can do that forever to no end. And
Yeah.
I would imagine all that leads you to is probably a place where you look back with a little bit of regret that you didn't just take the first
Go
step.
for it.
Is there any, you just explained it so beautifully, but is there one word of wisdom or one line that you can just share for anybody who has an inner knowing that they need to go for something, but is just, has that natural inclination to just wait until this one thing is perfect or this or that?
Yeah. I always say, if not now, when?
Yeah.
And if not you, who?
I love
Right?
that. Yeah.
If not now, when? Like, what are you waiting for? And if you can't do it, who can do it?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I think it was 2014, you made the decision to leave Google, which, by the way, I think had been voted one of the best places to work. It's
Base to work
obviously
every year. Yeah.
right. And that takes such courage to make a move like that, even if you know it is the right thing. And I think there are so many people in life who are in corporate jobs or in jobs that they know. I love your line of like, if you keep lifting the 5-pound weight, you don't get stronger from that. But sometimes when you're able to crunch those 5-pound weights with no issue, it feels good and calm, and it's scary to take that leap.
Yeah.
For anybody who does feel like there could be something more out there, but they're scared to take the jump and bet on themselves, what can you share?
What's the alternative? Let's
Mm,
say you do it. Let's say you have a corporate job that you love, but you're like, I'm always wondering what I could be doing if I was doing something else.
yeah.
You can leave that job and you can always come back to it, or you can come back to a different one. Like, there are no wrong decisions in life. It's just like, take the decision with the information you have, go one direction, and then life ebbs and flows. And I always think, like, what's the alternative? Like, you're going to regret not trying or not knowing, or what if? And that's worse than any other failure that you can face, is wondering, it could I have done that? Should I have done that? I really believe that that's a big part of why I've taken like, I am not a risk taker.
Yeah.
For me to get up and leave and move from Dubai after living overseas for 23 years and move here in 24 hours, I don't even know. I was just like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. What's the worst that can happen? I can move to the States and I hate it because I love living in Dubai so much. I can get another plane ticket and go back. There is no wrong answer. It's not like you make a decision that you're stuck in that mud forever. And I just feel like you have the courage to do it. I listened to this Open app. I do the meditation on the Open app.
Love it.
The other day, the meditation was about leap of faith. When
Mm,
was the last time you took a leap of faith in your life? And what was the result of that leap of faith? Did it work out or not? Because sometimes we don't want to take a leap because we don't want to do it the unknown, right? And I did take a leap of faith. Like, I'm packing up, giving up everything I've built here for the last 23 years, my name, my reputation, my contacts, my network, my lifestyle. Living in Dubai is nothing beats it. It's like the best. But my family wasn't there.
right.
And that was the key decision that I was like, it was either, is all of that glory for my family? And it was like, that was an easy decision. It's my family. And then I got here and I'm like, okay, well, I can hang out during lockdown. And after lockdown, I can go back. I could
Mhm.
lasted 2 years. I could go back, but I took a leap of faith. And I'm so glad I did, because it worked out and I'm happy and I'm fulfilled and I have a great life here. And I travel to Dubai all the time, but I don't need to live there to enjoy it. And I feel like there's always just a different way of looking at it. And that leap of faith session, I really, it made me think of that.
On that leap of faith point, we live in a world where currently there are more than 4 million podcasts. There are more than 50 million influencers. There are millions of new businesses being launched each year. And I do think that there's kind of like a deterrent that can come for somebody who wants to do something or knows that something's speaking to them, but they feel like, well, it's already been done before. Or who's going to
Oh,
need
yeah.
what I have to put out there? Is what would you say to somebody about kind of like A, doing it anyways, and B, being successful in what can seem like an oversaturated world?
Yeah, so this is a great question. I have a friend who's a personal trainer, and she's like, and she's really, she's older woman, she's really good at it, but she feels like, oh, there's so many people that are out there doing it. I'm ready too late. I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have a TikTok or Instagram. I have nothing, but I'm really passionate about what I do and how I train. I feel like I can help a lot of people. I'm like, first of all, she has the passion and the dedication to want to do it, and she loves what she does, and she likes to tell stories. And I'm like, it's not too late. So your personal brand is made up of three things: your skills, your experience, and your personality. Someone might have the same exact skills and experience you do, but they don't have your personality. I'm the only person on the planet who does communications? No. But do they have my personality, my global experience, my experience with my parents, the accounts I worked on? Everyone brings their own thing. And think about your behavior. If anyone is scrolling, what makes you stop your thumb? Like, there's somebody that resonates with you because you like how they talk to you, or you like how they make you feel, or how you connect with them, or something that's relatable about them. It could be one stupid quirky thing, like this guy who does this video that shimmies every day. There's a lot of people who do shimmy videos, but I still like this guy the best. There's something about your connection with a human being that's created, which is one of the most beautiful things about social media. And you can build a business around it, and relationships around it, and creativity around it. And I feel it's valuable. And a lot of people don't want to build their personal brands because they think it's like self promotion and friends are going to look at me and judge me. Who cares? You do
Right.
you.
And you delve into the importance of building a personal brand. And I think there's that, right? That we all feel like it's egotistical in some way and not just something that we all should be doing. And then I think there are also people who think that they're in a space or they live in a way where they don't need to have a personal brand. Why is having a personal brand so important no matter who you are?
Everybody needs to have a personal brand. Your personal brand is your reputation. Take the word personal brand, throw it away, replace it with the word reputation, and tell me you don't care about your reputation, right? If you are an employee at a company, it's your reputation at work. Are you helpful? Are you a team player? Are you a good listener? Are you thoughtful? Are you a hard worker? Are you aloof? Are you rude? Are you aggressive? Are you selfish? That's your personal brand at work. So if you have a job, you need to know exactly what your personal brand is telling people and how you're showing up at work. If you're an entrepreneur or a solo entrepreneur, you need to worry about your reputation. Otherwise, people won't work for you. Clients won't come to you. Partners won't do strategic relationships with you. So you won't get funding. That matters as you're an entrepreneur. If you're a student or you're just starting your career, your reputation is everything at a very young age. I always encourage the youngest people to focus the most on it, because if you can build a good reputation when you're young, as you grow older, it's like making deposits and investing and compound investing over time, it'll really help you. You really have to have those relationships because you don't know your students that are sitting next to you in class, your colleagues on college, where they're going to end up, what businesses they're going to be a part of. Are they going to recommend you? Are you going to need to get a job from them or do a deal with them? You got to start early on that. So I feel anyone with ambition or a social media account or a job needs to have a personal brand and to think about their reputation.
I think it's one of those things where people can think like, okay, so where do I even start with building a personal brand? And to your point, you have already in existing, but in wanting to actually give that due attention, what should someone consider when they're looking to really build a personal brand that they're proud of?
Yeah, I love it. So first of all, think of it. What are you doing a lot in your own free time or consistently in your behavior already?
Mm.
Like you consistently like to solve problems or help people or a skill that you're really good at. What are you actually naturally, authentically already doing on a regular basis? That's what your personal brand should be about. Number two, how do you want to share your reputation or your personal brand? People think it's all about social. It's actually not. It's
Yeah.
how do you treat people in person? What do you need to do in your relationships with your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues, your community? That's where a reputation is built. You always think about like what people say about you, and you really need to make sure that the people who know you, who can look you in the eye and see you face to face, versus on social media where you get a sliver of somebody's ideas or relationships or behavior, it really, really matters. So think about, what are you doing in person? Are you putting yourself in the right rooms? Are you meeting the right people? Are you making an effort to show up? Because if you're, at home and not making an effort to network with people or build relationships, you won't grow your relationships or your brand. I think that's super, super key. And then think about, if you were going to look at your online presence, and we can do a whole masterclass on this if you want. Have a presence, because I want people to find things online that you actually put there, not that other people posted about you. So clean profile photos, description of your bio, how they can reach you. Why have a social media account if you don't give people a chance to reach you, because you
Yeah.
might get a job or a relationship from them. So my Instagram has my email, like my real email. I'm like, I want people to reach out to me. I want to give people access to reach out. And so I feel it's important that you have a good presence online. Doesn't mean you need to be posting, doesn't mean you need to be an influencer, but you need to be represented, because we live in a digital world. And when people Google you, which they will, or look up your social profiles, which they will, make sure it's what you want them to see.
Hmm. Very well said. Pivoting ever so slightly, in this digital world that we live in, things can go viral in a matter of seconds. Great things and also some bad things too. Any bad thing, really. And I think we're so used to living in a world where like crisis management and crisis control was about big brands, right? And like the Fortune 500 companies or whatever else. And now it is. We all do have a personal brand that we're walking through in this life. So if you're an influencer, something can happen at the drop of a hat. If you
For
are a big business, it really extends to everybody, and cancel culture is very real these days. And it's been
sure.
interesting to me to be able to see, even just with like the business people or influencers that I follow, that some, if they're facing scrutiny, disappear and try to fly under the radar. Others come out and address it head on and take accountability and move through that. As a professional who works with absolute powerhouses in so many spaces, what is your take on the best way to move through scrutiny these days?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a 24 real-time world, right? 24/7 real-time world, and, the problem with going viral, it's like a virus, you can't control it, right? And so people follow people, they don't follow companies. I think we've seen a lot of companies understand the importance of the CEO or any of the other representatives of the company, that people are watching. People are watching what they do. So I think, if any crisis hits, whether you are a CEO, a brand, or even personally, somebody posts something about you that's really negative, a couple of things I always say, because I've been leading some of the biggest crises in the world, is rapid response is key, right? The longer you leave a vacuum of not telling people what's happening, the longer it opens you up for misinformation and rumors and speculation, and all bad things happen the longer you wait of not responding to something. So
Mhm.
if it's an apology or a mea culpa, it's my fault, we made a mistake, we don't always get it right. Like, rapid response key, because it helps rebuild trust and helps rebuild credibility. The second thing is you got to have that alignment, inside the team or inside the organization. If it's a company that got hit, or understand really what happened so that it doesn't happen again. So we always talk a lot about what's the importance of how do we take steps to make sure this doesn't happen again? What policy changes need to go in place? And I think a lot about, if anyone has a social media account and it's just not part of a company scandal or part of it, but you might know people at that company or work at that company, and they might just get dragged into it as well. It's really important that you don't speculate and don't post and don't give your private opinion, because you don't want to add more gas to that fuel, and try to let things cool down. And time is really kind of the best kind of remedy for stuff like that.
That's great advice. One of the topics that has come up in many circles that I'm a part of with women of all ages is this concept of balance, right? And whether balance is actually something that we can achieve or not. And you are such a powerhouse. There are so many things that you are doing at all times. And like I've said, I do admire your ability to always make family a priority and have a well-rounded life. But I wanted to ask your opinion. We were having this very heated discussion about this yesterday, which is kind of fun. Like, is there such a thing as balance in this world where hustle culture is so glorified? And what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think hustle culture is out, value culture is in. I talk about that in my book. But
Yeah.
I feel, here's the thing, and I run my own business, so I'm an entrepreneur, so it's not like I get like days off, but I really focus on being intentional with my calendar. Like,
Mhm.
I am playing tennis 3 times a week. I am hanging out with my friends. I do have a social life. I do have to do things outside of work. I can't just work 24/7. Now, do I work Sunday nights? Yes, because I like to get myself in position for a great week. I might catch up on the weekend to read something that I didn't get through during the week, but I really want people to think about, how do they spend their time, and how do you find the right balance for you? I don't think that balance really exists. I feel like you just need to be very good at understanding yourself, of, this is my limit. I do want to work hard. I can't phone it in and want to get, I can't just be successful by not putting in effort, right? You have to put in effort to get those outcomes. And so people who want to have the great careers and make the good money so that they can buy the fancy things and go on the nice trips, you're going to have to work hard to get to the things that you want to achieve, whatever that is.
Right.
But I feel like, look at your calendar. I have like a no meetings Wednesdays. Like, I'm not doing any meetings on Wednesdays, just so that's my day to think, get things done, catch up on work. Like, if I'm in meetings all the time, when am I actually doing the work? And
Right.
so looking at making sure, when I look at my week, if I'm out every night, that's not good, because I'm off balance. It means I'm eating out. I'm not eating healthy. I might be out later than I want to be. I'm always just trying to look at my calendar in ways that can make me feel balanced, because so much about what's happening in the external world is out of balance. And so not that I believe that balance is not achievable. I just think it's unrealistic for how we work and how we live. And so you need to find the right thing for you.
And I think that's very helpful to hear
Yeah.
from someone who also has the experience that you have. Unfortunately, I was right at the beginning of this conversation when I said this time was going to fly. So we only have a few
I
minutes left, and I need to be mindful of that very full calendar of yours. At the core of 30, Flirty, and Panicking is this concept, right? It's a nod to 13 going on 30, that we all think we're going to turn 30 and have it all together and be thriving and have everything figured out. And it is so easy, either in looking at some, societal norm chart or in just looking to the left or right of you, to catch yourself feeling behind. And I wanted to ask you about your relationship with timeline, or any thoughts you have surrounding that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 55. I'm single. I never met Mr. Wonderful. It just never happened to me. I was engaged once and then didn't work out. And I feel like I don't compare my life and my journey to what other people are doing because everyone's at different stages.
Yeah.
And so I always just have to check myself at the door. Like, what am I happy with my work? Do I love what I do? Am I a good family member? Am I a good friend? Am I finding joy in the things I like to do? Like, I'm really into this book right now. I'm like, how can I leave work to go finish this book? I'm at the final chapter and I'm like, I didn't want to finish it last night because it was so good. I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'll for tomorrow. But finding takes time to find what's right for you, and what's right for you is not right for everybody else. And
Right.
so throw away the timeline, throw away the whole get married, do thing. Like, society's changed. You don't have to follow anybody's rules but your own, and you have to look yourself in the mirror, and you have to be happy with who you are, and are you a good person? When I was running my business when I was in my 30s, I was not a fun manager to be around. I was very driven. I wasn't probably very nice. I wasn't a pleasure to work with. And obviously that was 25 years ago. I'm much different now, but I think a lot about how do I want to treat people? How do I want to feel? It doesn't feel good when something bad is done or said. And so what I always think a lot about that of how do I really want to spend my time? And we're really in a good society, in a place in society now where you have put boundaries up and not spend time with the people that are not bringing you the right energy, and put yourself around people who are good. Listen to the podcasts that make you feel good and read the books that enrich you. And we have access to information like we've never had it before. We've never been in a better time to be alive. So why not I can find out LeBron James's morning routine to, so and so's, what's in Emma Greed's bag. Like, I want to know all the things, right? And so I feel like it's a great time to be alive. And so take advantage of it and build what's best for you.
Yeah. And I think to your point, it's never too late for whatever it is that you are hoping for. So who cares about timeline? Just you'll get there when you get there. And if it's meant to be as you've put it, it will happen.
Martha Stewart just launched her makeup line at 84, or her skincare line at 84. Don't
Love
tell
it.
me it's too late. Like, even my sister is retiring from General Mills after working there for 36 years. I'm like, okay, great. Now you have the experience to go do something else. Like, retirement, our definition of retirement isn't when our parents were like, oh, retire at 55, play golf, vacation home. But no, now it's like you have experience. Now you have wisdom, knowledge. Now you can go build something and move on to the next thing that's even bigger and better.
Never too late. I love that. The
Never.
clock has struck midnight, much to my dismay. If there is one thing that listeners today take away from our conversation, what would you like that to be, Maha?
Be curious.
I love it.
Be curious. Feed your curiosity. What are you curious about? There's so much out there. I just got done saying it. Like, be curious. Look at opportunities. Look at ideas. Look at what's happening in the world, because it's exciting. And there's a lot of things out there that you might be curious about, but you haven't even tested yourself to see.
Oh, I love that. I am so grateful for your time today. Thank you for everything that you've shared with us. I immediately added your book, The 7 Rules of Self-Reliance, to cart when I saw your post about it. And I urge every single person listening, it is an investment in your future, a very reasonable investment in your future, I might add, and it's game changing. So thank you on behalf of me and all of the listeners for this guide.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time. I know how valuable your time is, and it really means a
Appreciate
lot.
you. Thank you. I'm Maha Abouelenein, and I hope this conversation leaves listeners feeling 30, flirty, and self-reliant.